For many years, if you wanted a filler result in North America, you had to choose. You could either get immediate volume right now, or you could get slow collagen stimulation over many months. You could never have both at the same time. But that trade-off ended today in Canada, and let me show you why. I'm Dr. Nakatsui. I'm a board-certified dermatologist here in Edmonton, Canada. And HArmonyCa launched in Canada today. I was selected as one of the 3 early ambassadors in Edmonton by Allergan, which meant dedicated webinars and hands-on training before today's launch. There's been an embargo, so I couldn't say very much, but everything I'm sharing with you is coming from that training, not from a press release. As you might know, I don't cover new products just for the sake of it. If you've seen my Ultra Clear video, you know I covered that because it changed how we deliver energy to the skin, how we deliver energy to the canvas. It was a genuine shift, not just an upgrade. Now I'm covering HArmonyCa for similar reasons. It changes what a single injectable can do, and the science behind it is worth understanding properly. In this video, I'm going to go through the mechanism, discuss patient selection, and what I personally learned in training. So let's start with the biology because that's where this product is genuinely interesting. When patients come in and say they look tired or they've lost something in their face, but they can't quite figure it out, they're usually not wrong. In fact, they're almost always right. But for most of the history of our consultations, we've explained that feeling as deflation. The fat pads have shrunk, the bone is resorbed, volume goes down, our face melts. The solution was mechanical. We just filled up that space with volume. That explanation was not wrong, it just wasn't complete. A better explanation is that aging also involves the collapse of the extracellular matrix, the structural scaffolding of the skin itself. Fibroblasts, which are very important, become less active. Collagen breaks down, just like concrete breaks down over time. The skin loses what I'd call its snapback quality, that resilience and elasticity it had when we were all younger. Filling the void doesn't restore the scaffold. That's the gap that existed in our treatment until now. The old solution addressed volume loss. The modern treatment is addressing structural degradation, and that requires a different kind of treatment. So what does a treatment that addresses both of these things look like? Let's examine what's inside the syringe. There are 3 components in the syringe, and each one has a specific job. The first component is hyaluronic acid. So this is like what we find in a regular filler. 70% of this volume at 20 milligrams per milliliter. Hyaluronic acid is hygroscopic, which means it draws water towards itself up to 1,000 times its own weight. This is what gives you the immediate result. Within 48 hours of injection, you see a visible lift. This is the immediate mechanical response, the thing that you can look at in the mirror and feel reassured by straight away. The second component in this syringe is calcium hydroxyapatite in the form of little microspheres. And this explains why it looks a little bit white. And the calcium hydroxyapatite accounts for about 30% of the volume. The actual size of the microspheres is very specific. It varies between 25 and 45 microns, and I'll get back to why this is important. This calcium hydroxyapatite triggers fibroblasts, and these are the cells that produce collagen. So because of this, more new collagen type 1 and type 3 is produced as a result of these little microspheres. And this helps give skin the qualities that we want over time and qualities that will last for a long duration of time. The third component is lidocaine. There's 3 milligrams per milliliter in this, and it's already pre-mixed, and there's no separate anesthetic injection that you need to mix into it. This makes this actually quite comfortable for patients. HArmonyCa is different, and this graph shows you why. Curve 1 is the hyaluronic acid effect. It peaks very quickly within the first month or 2 as the hyaluronic acid absorbs and draws in water and provides that immediate architectural lift. But then it gradually diminishes as the body naturally metabolizes the hyaluronic acid over time, as it would with any hyaluronic acid filler. Curve 2 is the calcium hydroxyapatite effect. Now, this is a lot slower to start because the microspheres have to trigger a biological process, which is neocollagenesis, and biology takes time. But this curve keeps rising, and sustains for up to 24 months. Here's the key. These two curves overlap. As the hyaluronic acid is fading, your own new collagen is taking over. So instead of the sudden drop-off that most patients will eventually experience with hyaluronic acid filler, in this case, the transition is a lot smoother because you're getting this overlap. As one is going down, the other one's going up. The biological support replaces the mechanical scaffold that you initially had. This is why the result at 12 months can actually look better than the result at 2 months. That's not something you can say about a standard hyaluronic acid filler. Patients understandably want to know, is this product safe? And the best answer is that the safety of a calcium hydroxyapatite product depends significantly on the size and quality of the microspheres, something most patients have never heard about and honestly shouldn't be expected to know. So if these microspheres are too small, under 15 microns, the body's immune cells engulf them through a process called phagocytosis. The product gets cleared very quickly, efficacy drops, results fade faster than they should, so it just doesn't work as well. On the other hand, if the microspheres are too large, over 50 microns, the body can't process them very well. And this increases the risk of what we call granulomatous reactions or chronic inflammatory reactions, which leads to nodules or lumps under the skin that are difficult to manage. But like Goldilocks, HArmonyCa's microspheres sit at 25 to 45 microns. They are engineered to be this size so that they stimulate collagen, but they don't get absorbed and they don't produce the nodules. Every production branch is tested against ISO standards. This is precision manufacturing, precision engineering. Now, I want to tell you something that I think patients don't know, and probably should. Before HArmonyCa existed as a manufactured product, the only way we could get the benefits of combining hyaluronic acid and calcium hydroxyapatite was by mixing the two products together ourselves. This is a process that we needed to do if we wanted to get both effects. And it sounds very logical, but there was a problem with it. And there's now published peer-reviewed imaging data on what that actually produces. A 2024 paper in Clinical, Cosmetic, and Investigational Dermatology, and I'll link it in the description below, used X-ray imaging to compare a manually mixed HA calcium hydroxyapatite preparation against HArmonyCa, as HArmonyCa is already pre-mixed. What the imaging showed is actually very interesting. It showed that manual mixing, which means passing the product back and forth between syringes, even when done carefully, produces a non-uniform distribution of particles. There's air bubbles, there's clumping, it's very heterogeneous. The calcium hydroxyapatite microspheres are not evenly distributed throughout the HA gel. And so we also found that because it's not even, some parts of the gel were more fluid, some were more firm. It was harder to predict how that product would come out of the syringe. The X-ray image of HArmonyCa was very interesting. And HArmonyCa's X-ray image, by contrast, shows extremely uniform particle distribution throughout the entire syringe. Every milliliter of this looks exactly the same as every other milliliter. And so you can be assured that this has the consistency that you want. This is why the term manufactured is actually extremely important. Without it being manufactured, you cannot be guaranteed of consistency. When it's manufactured like this, we know that it's not just convenience, it's consistency, predictability, and safety. So that's the science. Let me describe the patient who I think benefits the most from HArmonyCa, and you can tell me if this sounds like you. Possibly you've noticed that something has changed in your face, but you don't want to look done. The volume loss is early to moderate. You're not at the stage where you need surgical intervention. You might notice early jowling, that your cheeks have lost a bit of their definition. You might see fine vertical lines along your cheeks when you smile, what we call accordion lines, and those weren't there before. Your skin has also lost some of its snap-back quality. As we get older, our skin tends to stay where we left it. You may have had fillers before, or maybe you've thought about it, but you're a little bit wary of looking puffy or overfilled. And ideally, you'd like a result that gets better over time, not just filled now and then gone. We're seeing this more and more in our patients who are looking for this rather than that immediate filling effect. And if that's you, you're the HArmonyCa patient. Now let me be equally clear about who it's not right for, because not everybody needs HArmonyCa. If you have really significant volume loss, a lot of hollowness, a lot of deflation of your face, this may not be your primary solution. HArmonyCa is not only about filling a little bit of volume, but also about skin quality, structural lift, and biological remodeling. If you need substantial volumization, this product may not be right for you. As well, if you're expecting a dramatic result the same day, this is not what this product does. It definitely gives some improvement right away, but it's not huge volume change. The more significant change happens over time as the collagen rebuilds. Part of my job at a consultation is to make sure that the treatment matches the goal. And so if what I've just described doesn't match what you're looking for, doesn't match what you look like, I'd rather tell you at the consultation and let you know that's not right for you than have you disappointed at it later. The Allergan webinar for the early ambassadors by Dr. Andre Braz, who's from Brazil and has been using this for quite some time, covered things I genuinely couldn't have gotten from just reading the literature. One thing that particularly stood out was seeing the X-ray imaging comparing the manually mixed hyaluronic acid and calcium hydroxyapatite versus the manufactured HArmonyCa. I'd read about it, but seeing it visually was a different thing. The non-uniformity in this mixed syringe is not subtle, it's very compelling. One of the other things that was very interesting from the webinar was Dr. Braz and others have been using this medication, this product, in the submalar area. This is an area where I typically wouldn't inject filler because I don't want to get too much volume in this area. But the experience of these injectors is that you can use this in this area and it does give a very positive beneficial effect. I've been using it now in several patients and I do see the difference. So I'm really excited about this product because I think it adds so many things to our armamentarium. The hands-on training for the early ambassadors was also very helpful. It's a place where I got a real feel for the product itself. I got a feel for the rheology, how it moves through the cannula, how it integrates into tissue. One of the interesting things is that we tried out several different cannula sizes, the 25 gauge and 22 gauge. The 22 gauge is slightly larger and is the typical one that people use. I tried it using the 25 gauge in my patient, and I found that I really like the precision that I can deliver exactly how much I want with this. Even though it's a little harder to extrude, I think this is a really good cannula for this technique. And so I was really pleased to have the opportunity to try different cannulas. One thing I want to be direct about is that this is not a product where you just read the insert and just start doing it. The injection planes matter, the patient selection matters, the technique matters. Actually, that's a good thing. It means results in properly trained hands are going to look meaningfully different and better from results in untrained hands. And that difference matters to you, the patient, and it helps in deciding what sort of product to use and also where you decide to go. If there's a question I haven't answered, please leave it in the comments. I will use these comments to decide what I should address in the future and what sort of topics I should cover next. There's a lot more nuance to HArmonyCa than I can cover in one video, particularly around technique, treatment planning, how it fits into a broader rejuvenation approach for individual patients, how we combine it with things like Ultra Clear, which is another game changer. I'll cover more of that in future videos, including the use of HArmonyCa with things like Ultra Clear. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe. It genuinely helps me understand what's useful to you and what to cover next. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next one.